My ex-wife is coming to our anniversary dinner. Don't make a scene. My husband said it while I was holding the anniversary cake I had spent 3 hours making for him. For a moment, I honestly thought I had heard him wrong. Then he looked directly at me and added, "She's just coming for dinner, Emily. Try to act like an adult." I put the cake down, and that was the exact moment I stopped trusting my husband. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more emotional American revenge stories. My name is Emily Carter, and I was 38 when my marriage began falling apart in a way I never saw coming. I lived with my husband Ryan in a comfortable neighborhood outside Charlotte, North Carolina. We'd been married for 12 years. Our anniversary was supposed to be special. I'd ordered Ryan's favorite steak from a local butcher, bought a bottle of expensive wine, and made the chocolate cake his mother had taught me to bake. I even found an old photograph from our wedding day and placed it inside a small silver frame. Ryan and I hadn't always been perfect, but I believed we were solid. At least I did until 3 months earlier. That was when Ryan started changing. He began coming home later from work. He started taking phone calls in the garage. He stopped leaving his phone on the kitchen counter, and whenever I asked what was wrong, he gave me the same answer. Work has been crazy. I wanted to believe him, so I did. Then, 2 weeks before our anniversary, something happened that made me question everything. I was folding laundry in our bedroom when Ryan walked in and immediately grabbed his phone from the nightstand. "You scared me," he said. I laughed. "I just walked into the room. I thought you were looking for something." His reaction bothered me. What would I be looking for? Nothing. He walked out. I stared after him. There was something he wasn't telling me, but I didn't know what. A few days later, I found a receipt in his jacket pocket from an expensive restaurant in downtown Charlotte. 2 dinners, 2 glasses of wine. The date was a Tuesday. Ryan had told me he was working late that night. When he came home, I held up the receipt. "What is this?" He looked at it, then at me. "Business dinner. With who?" "A client." "What client?" His jaw tightened. "Emily, I don't remember every little detail." That answer stayed in my head for days. Then came our anniversary. I woke up early, made breakfast, and left a card beside his coffee. Yen barely looked at it. "Thanks," he said. That was it. No kiss, no SMS, smile, nothing. By 6 that evening, I had finished preparing dinner. I lit candles. I changed into the blue dress Ryan had once told me made me look beautiful. I was putting the cake on the table when he walked into the kitchen. He didn't look excited. He looked nervous. "Emily, we need to talk." I turned around. "About what?" He took a deep breath. "My ex-wife is coming tonight." I stared at him. "What, Melissa?" I knew the name immediately. Melissa had been married to Ryan before me. Their divorce had happened 5 years before we met. According to Ryan, the marriage had ended badly. He had always described her as controlling, jealous, and impossible to live with. I had never met her. I had never wanted to. But now Ryan was telling me she was coming to our anniversary dinner. "You invited your ex-wife to our anniversary?" She needed someone to talk to. I laughed because the situation was so unbelievable. "And you thought our anniversary was the perfect time?" "She'll only be here for dinner." I looked at the cake, then at the candles, then back at my husband. "Ryan, why?" He rubbed his forehead. "Don't make a scene." Those 5 words changed something inside me. I lowered my voice. "Are you seeing her?" His eyes immediately moved away from mine. "N." The answer came too quickly. I noticed. "You're lying. I'm not." "Then look at me and say it." He finally looked at me. "I am not having an affair with Melissa." Technically, he had answered my question, but somehow it didn't make me feel better. At 7:15, the doorbell rang. Ryan stood up so quickly that his chair nearly fell backward. I watched him walk toward the door. He opened it, and there she was. Melissa. She was elegant, confident, and holding a bottle of wine. But what shocked me wasn't her appearance. It was the way Ryan looked at her. His face softened, the same way it used to soften when he looked at me. "Hi, Ryan," she said. "Hi, Melissa." They stared at each other for several seconds, then she stepped inside. Her eyes moved around our house. She looked at the wedding photographs. She looked at our Christmas pictures, then she smiled. It's strange being back here, I frowned. Back here? Ryan immediately interrupted. Let's sit down. During dinner, Melissa barely spoke to me. She kept asking Ryan questions about his work, his family, and old friends. At one point, she reached across the table and touched his hand. Ryan didn't move it. I put my fork down. Melissa looked at me. What? I smiled. Nothing, but I was no longer angry. I was watching because something about this dinner felt planned. And when Melissa accidentally mentioned a house Ryan had never told me about, my entire body went cold. She looked at Ryan. He suddenly stopped eating. Melissa, he said quietly. She realized her mistake. What house? I asked. Neither of them answered. Then Ryan stood up. Emily, we need to talk. I looked at him. No, he froze. I calmly picked up my wine glass. Not tonight, because for the first time in 12 years, I wasn't going to ask my husband for the truth. I was going to find it myself, and I had no idea that the secret behind that house was about to change everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I didn't sleep that night. After Melissa left, Ryan acted as if nothing unusual had happened. He cleaned the kitchen, checked his phone twice, and went upstairs without saying goodnight. I stayed downstairs. The anniversary cake was still sitting on the table. The candles had burned down completely. I looked at the framed wedding photograph I had placed beside Ryan's plate that morning. In the picture, he was smiling at me like I was the only woman in the world. I picked up the frame. Then I noticed something. Ryan's wedding ring looked different in the photograph. It had a small engraving inside the band. I remembered what it said because I had helped him choose it. Forever, Emily. But that night I realized something much more painful. Maybe the word forever had never meant the same thing to him. The next morning I didn't confront him. Instead, I went to work. I was an office manager for a dental practice in Charlotte, and I had learned something over the years. When people were hiding something, they usually made mistakes when they thought nobody was watching. Ryan made his first mistake that afternoon. He texted me while I was at work. Sorry about last night. Melissa is going through a difficult time. Please don't make this bigger than it is. I read the message twice, then I typed one question. What house were you talking about? He didn't answer. Not for 20 minutes, not for an hour. Finally, he wrote, "It's nothing you need to worry about." That answer told me everything. I called my friend Laura during my lunch break. Laura had been my closest friend since college. When I told her what happened, she became quiet. Then she asked, "Are you sure you want to know?" "Yes." "Then don't ask Ryan anything else until you have facts." She was right, so I started looking. The house Melissa had mentioned wasn't listed under Ryan's name. It wasn't under Melissa's name either. It belonged to a small LLC. I searched the company's public records through the North Carolina Secretary of State website. The registered address was a mailbox in Charlotte. The company had been formed 6 years earlier, 1 year before Ryan and I bought our current home. I felt my hands go cold. I checked the property records. The LLC owned a 3-bedroom house about 40 minutes from our neighborhood. I'd never heard of it. Then I noticed something even stranger. The mortgage payments were coming from a bank account connected to Ryan's consulting business. I sat back in my chair. For years, Ryan had told me his business was struggling. He had complained about taxes. He had complained about clients. He had even asked me to use some of my savings to cover household expenses while he rebuilt the company. Meanwhile, he had apparently been paying for another house. But why? That question kept me awake. 2 days later, Ryan came home carrying groceries. He kissed my cheek. I didn't move. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Fine." He looked at me carefully. "You seem distant." "I've just been thinking." "About what?" "Our anniversary." He smiled nervously. "I told you, I'm sorry." I looked straight into his eyes. "Where did you meet Melissa?" He paused. "At a coffee shop." "When?" "A few weeks ago. Before that?" He looked away. No, I knew he was lying, but I didn't say anything. That evening, while Ryan was in the shower, his laptop was sitting on the kitchen counter. I didn't open it. I almost did, but Laura's advice came back to me. Get facts. Don't create evidence that can be turned against you. So instead, I checked something completely legal. Our joint financial records. I had access because both our names were on the account. There were several transfers from Ryan's business account into a separate account I didn't recognize. The transfers totaled more than $38,000 over 18 months. Then I saw a payment to a law firm. The description included 3 words: property transfer documents. My heart started beating faster. I took screenshots of the records and saved them to a secure folder. That was when I realized this wasn't just about Melissa. Something much bigger was happening. The next day, I contacted a family law attorney named Jennifer Hayes. I didn't tell her everything over the phone. I simply said I believed my husband might be hiding marital assets. She agreed to meet me. During our meeting, I showed her the financial records. She studied them carefully, then she looked at me. "Do you have access to these accounts legally?" "Yes, they're joint or business records I've been authorized to see." "Good, don't access anything you're not authorized to access." I nodded. Jennifer explained that if Ryan had transferred marital money into property without my knowledge, that could become very important during a divorce. Then she asked the question I had been avoiding. "Do you think he's planning to leave you?" I swallowed. "I don't know." She leaned back. "Then don't warn him that you're investigating." I walked out of her office feeling strangely calm. For the first time, I had a plan. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't threaten Melissa. I wouldn't send angry messages. I would protect myself first. That evening, Ryan came home and announced something that nearly made me laugh. Melissa might need to stay at the house for a while. I stared at him. "What house?" His face changed. For 3 seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "You already know about it." "No," I replied. "I know there is a house. I don't know why my husband owns one with his ex-wife." He went pale. "It's complicated." "Then explain it." He sat down. "Melissa and I bought it years ago." "Before we met?" "Yes." "Then why are you still paying for it?" He said nothing. I could see fear in his face now, not guilt, fear. That was when I understood something. Ryan wasn't afraid that I would discover he had been seeing Melissa. He was afraid I would discover what was inside that house. And the next morning I received an envelope at my workplace with no return address. Inside was a photocopy of a property document. At the bottom was Ryan's signature. Beside it was Melissa's, but the date was only 6 months old. I stared at the paper. Then I saw the name of the person listed as the beneficiary. It wasn't Ryan, it wasn't Melissa, it was mine. And suddenly the entire mystery became even more complicated. I stared at the document for almost 5 minutes before I could breathe normally. My name was printed clearly under the beneficiary section, Emily Carter. I had never signed anything connected to that house. I called Jennifer, my attorney, immediately. "I received something strange," I told her. "Don't do anything with it yet," she said. "Bring it to my office." I drove across Charlotte during my lunch break. Jennifer examined every page carefully. "This is a transfer on death deed," she explained. "If this document is valid, the property could transfer to you under certain conditions." "Why would Ryan put my name on it?" She looked at me. "That is the question." I felt more confused than relieved. If he was planning to leave me, why would he leave me the house? Jennifer didn't answer immediately. People sometimes make complicated decisions when they are trying to protect something. Protect what? I don't know yet. That night I went home and acted normal. Ryan was sitting on the couch watching television. He looked up. "Where were you?" "Work." He nodded. I sat beside him. After a few seconds he said, "I know you're upset." "I am. Melissa and I have history, that's all." I looked at him. "Then why is my name on a property document you signed with her?" His face went completely still. I had never seen him look so frightened. "Who gave you that?" I didn't answer. He stood up. "Emily, listen to me." "No, you listen." My voice shook, but I kept going. "You've been hiding money. You've been paying for a house I didn't know about. You've been meeting your ex-wife behind my back. And now my name is on a legal document connected to that house." He sat back down. "I was trying to protect you." "From what?" He covered his face with both hands. Then he finally told me part of the truth. Years ago, before he met me, Ryan and Melissa had purchased the house as an investment. After their divorce, Melissa wanted to sell it. Ryan refused. He believed the property would become valuable because of a planned development nearby. But that still didn't explain why my name was on the deed. "Why me?" I asked. Ryan looked at me. because I needed someone I trusted. I almost laughed. You didn't trust me enough to tell me. He looked down, then he said something that made my stomach drop. Melissa wanted the house back. Back? She believed it should have gone to her. And you? I didn't agree. Why? He was silent. Then he reached into a drawer and pulled out an old envelope. Inside were several letters. The first was dated 7 years earlier. It was from Melissa. She had written that Ryan owed her money from their divorce settlement. Another letter threatened legal action. I read through several pages. Then I noticed something. Melissa had claimed Ryan had hidden assets during their divorce. My heart sank. Did you? Ryan didn't answer. That silence was enough. I stood up. Were you hiding money from her? I was trying to protect the business. That isn't an answer. He looked exhausted. I made mistakes. I walked away. The next morning, Jennifer called me. You need to come in. When I arrived, she placed another document on her desk. This came from the county records. It showed that the LLC connected to the house had received a large payment from a development company, nearly $210,000. I stared at the number. That can't be right. Jennifer nodded. The property was sold. When? 2 weeks ago. My hands went cold. 2 weeks ago. That was before our anniversary. Before Melissa came to our house. Before Ryan told me the house was just an old investment. Where did the money go? Jennifer pointed to another page. A large amount had been transferred into a private account. The account belonged to Ryan, but there was something else. Another payment had been made to Melissa. More than $70,000. I felt sick. So that was why Melissa was suddenly back in Ryan's life. Money, not love. Money. But then, Jennifer pointed at one final line. And this is where it gets interesting. The remaining funds had been placed into an account with my name attached. I stared at he. Why would he do that? I don't know. Could he have done this without my permission? Not if your signature was required. I looked at the document. There was my name, but the signature wasn't mine. Someone had copied it. Jennifer became very serious. Emily, don't confront either of them about the signature yet. Why? Because if someone forged your signature, that's a serious matter. I left her office with a copy of everything. That evening, Ryan came home late. I was sitting at the dining table. He looked at me. You're awake. I've been waiting. For what? The truth. He slowly removed his coat, then his phone rang. The screen showed Melissa's name. He rejected the call. A few seconds later, another call came. This time he answered. I heard Melissa shouting through the phone. You promised me the money. Ryan stood up. Not here. I watched him walk into the hallway. Then I heard Melissa say something that changed everything. You told me Emily would sign the papers. Ryan went silent. I stood up. My heart was pounding. He turned around and saw me. His face lost all color. Emily, I whispered, you forged my signature? He didn't answer. I grabbed my coat and walked toward the door. Ryan followed me. Please let me explain. I turned around. No. He froze. I've spent 12 years protecting your reputation, I said. Now I'm going to protect myself. The next morning, Jennifer helped me take the first legal step. I wasn't going to destroy Ryan. I wasn't going to lie about him. I wasn't going to threaten Melissa. I was going to let the documents speak for themselves, but there was still one question I couldn't answer. Why had Ryan put my name on that account in the first place? 2 days later, Jennifer called me with the answer. And when she told me what she had discovered, I finally understood why Ryan had been so desperate to keep that house a secret. The money wasn't the real secret. Someone had been trying to use my identity to hide something far more serious. And this time, I was ready to make sure the truth came out. Jennifer called me early Monday morning. Emily, I found something you need to see. I drove straight to her office. She placed a folder on the desk and opened it slowly. The account with your name attached to it wasn't created for your benefit, she said. It was being used to receive money from the property sale before it was moved somewhere else. Where? Jennifer pointed to a series of transactions. A private investment, a co. Then she showed me the account holder, Ryan. My husband had created the account using my identity information, but he was controlling it himself. I stared at the papers. So he used my name to hide money? That's what the records suggest. I felt tears fill my eyes. After 12 years of marriage, the man I trusted had put my name on something without my permission. Jennifer immediately helped me take the proper legal steps. We contacted the bank, documented everything, and reported the suspected identity misuse. We also preserved every message, document, and financial record. I didn't confront Ryan, not yet. Then something unexpected happened. Melissa contacted me. I almost ignored her message, but she wrote, "You deserve to know what he did to both of us." We met at a coffee shop in downtown Charlotte. Melissa looked nothing like the woman I had imagined. She looked exhausted. "I didn't come here to fight with you," she said. "Then why are you here?" She placed a folder on the table. "Because Ryan lied to me too." Inside were old financial records. Melissa explained that during their divorce, Ryan had told her the investment property was worth very little. She had accepted a smaller settlement because she believed him. Years later, she discovered the property had become extremely valuable. When she confronted Ryan, he promised to give her part of the eventual sale. But after the property sold, he tried to keep most of the money. "So you came to our anniversary dinner because of the money?" She looked embarrassed. "Yes," I nodded. "At least you're honest." She took a breath. "I didn't know he was using your identity. That was the part that shocked me. Melissa hadn't known Ryan had been manipulating both of us." Then she handed me one final document. It was an email from Ryan. The message was simple. "Once Emily signs, everything will be clean." I looked at the date. It was sent 3 months earlier, before I had even heard Melissa's name again. My hands started shaking. "He planned this long before the anniversary," I whispered. Melissa nodded. "I think he wanted to move the money, make it look like you approved it, and then leave." I closed my eyes. For a moment, I remembered our wedding day, our first apartment, the night we bought our first house. Every Christmas, I wondered how many memories had been real. Then I remembered something Jennifer had told me. Facts mattered more than feelings, so I went. Hohom was waiting in the living room. He looked nervous. "Where were you?" I put my purse down. Meeting Melissa, his face changed. "She contacted you?" "Yes." He sat down. "Emily, please listen to me." "I've listened for 12 years. He began crying. I was scared. Of what? Losing everything? I stared at him. "You already had everything." He shook his head. "You don't understand." "No," I said quietly. "You don't understand." I placed a folder on the table. His eyes moved toward it. "What is that?" "Evidence." He opened it. The color drained from his face. He saw the bank records, the property documents, the email, the suspected forged signature. He closed the folder. "What do you want?" I looked at him. "I don't want revenge." He seemed surprised. "I want the truth." A few weeks later, our attorneys handled everything. The property proceeds were traced. The bank investigated the account. The suspected forged signature became part of the legal record. Ryan eventually admitted that he had transferred money without my knowledge and had tried to make it appear that I had approved the transaction. The case was resolved through the legal system, and I protected my financial interests without destroying myself in the process. Our marriage ended, not with screaming, not with a dramatic courtroom fight, just paperwork. A judge finalized our divorce months later. Ryan had to account for the money and accept the consequences of his actions. Melissa also pursued her own legal claim regarding the property and the settlement she had been denied years earlier. As for me, I moved into a small townhouse near Lake Norman. The first night there, I opened the silver frame from our anniversary dinner. I looked at our wedding photograph one last time, then I put it into a box. I didn't throw it away. That surprised me because I finally understood something. Healing doesn't always mean pretending the past never happened. Sometimes it means accepting that something was once meaningful, even if it ended badly. A year later, I received a letter from Ryan. He apologized. He said he had destroyed the best relationship he had ever had because he was afraid of losing money. I read the letter once, then I put it away. I never responded. On the next anniversary of the night, everything changed. I made myself the same chocolate cake I had prepared for Ryan. I sat outside on my porch. The evening was quiet. There were no lies, no secret phones, no hidden accounts, no ex-wife sitting across from me, just peace. And for the first time in years, I smiled. If there's one thing I learned from my marriage, it's this. Never let someone convince you that protecting yourself makes you selfish. Trust is important, but trust should never require you to ignore the evidence in front of you. Ryan thought telling me to be mature meant staying silent. He was wrong. Being mature meant staying calm, gathering the truth, and letting the law handle what I couldn't. And sometimes, the smartest revenge isn't destroying the person who hurt you. It's walking away with your dignity, your future, and the truth completely on your side. If this story touched you, tell me in the comments what you would have done in Emily's place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional American revenge stories.